Premier League. Heart of Lions will be hosting Kumasi Asante Kotoko on Sunday. Adriana Stars will be taking up Vision FC. FC Samatex will welcome stragglers Accra Lions. Baseke Holy Stars will be facing Brecum Chelsea. What is happening to Accra House of Folk? Well, they will be on the road. Well, they will be welcoming Mediama SC on Sunday. That game will be played at the Tuba AstroTurf. So it is Accra House of Folk versus Mediama SC. Now, Young Apostles will be facing Legon Cities. Mbechem United, their game against Nswakriman FC has been cancelled because Nswakriman FC have bowed out of the Ghana Premier League, following the death of Nana Pole with other matters that aroused during their return to football. Now, Dreams FC will be facing BBN Go Stars. Nations FC will welcome Karela United on Monday at the Dr. Kwame Che Sports Complex. So yes, these are the games that will be coming up in the Ghana Premier League. We will be taking them one by one, of course, with Accra House of Folks' recent slump and Kumasi Asante Kotoko's rise to glory. We'll be looking at who wins the Ghana Premier League this season. Yes, Kotoko are top, but then BBN Gold Stars are breathing on their necks. Well, I have the boys with me in the studio. Good morning, Teddy. How are you doing?
Please, I'm fine. It's another bright Saturday, so we do what is needed always on Saturdays.
Of course. But then, how was your week? How did it go?
My week was a very nice one because Chelsea won at Stamford Bridge. So, yeah, we grabbed the 3 points of the week, and that's very important, keeping us still in the top four.
Okay.
To play the Champions League football next season.
All right. So it was a good week for Teddy, who is a Chelsea fan. Now, Jonathan is also in the studio. I mean, he disguises himself as a Barcelona fan, but we all know where his allegiance like. Jonathan, how are you doing?
I'm doing good.
How was your week?
Oh, very good. Teddy just, give the credit to Chelsea making his week successful. So I'll give my credit to FC Barcelona. Qualifying to the Copa del Rey final after beating Atletico.
We'll see. In fact, we'll be talking about that El Clasico final in the Copa del Rey, a very big one, of course. But then, before we do that, can you run us through the games that will be coming up in the English Premier League, the La Liga, the French League, and then, of course, the German Bundesliga?
So we'll be delving into the fixtures which will be coming up. Big games there. But that big game in the English Premier League will be the talking point also on big platforms. That Manchester derby between Ruben Amorim's Manchester United and also Pep Guardiola's sinking Manchester City. The champions are not finding their fit this season. That will be the big game. So first we'll be starting the fixtures in the English Premier League. Lineups are already out, and I know after the fixtures, Luke will be giving us the lineups. As Everton will be playing against Arsenal exactly 11:30, almost 1 minute to kick off there at the Goodison Park. So Everton are hosting Arsenal today. Crystal Palace will be playing against Brighton and Hove Albion, whilst Ipswich Town will be hosting Wolverhampton Wanderers. And also 2 p.m. today, Mohamed Kudus side, and also Graham Potter, West Ham United will be playing against Bournemouth. So 2 Ghanaians to watch there will be Antoine Semenyo and Mohamed Kudus. Since Kudus missed out on their previous game, hopefully this game is in the squad. Graham Potter will be giving him that lineup slot there. And also Aston Villa will be playing against Nottingham Forest. So Saturday fixtures in the English Premier League. Then the French League 1-2, Paris Saint-Germain are on the brink of setting the invincible record with 21 points gap on top of the French League 1. The club that comes close to PSG's AS Monaco with 21 points gap. So today, PSG might be sealing the French League 1 trophy there if they will be able to get that win against Angers. Exactly 3 p.m. Paris Saint-Germain will be hosting Angers at the Parc des Princes. And also Brest will be playing against Monaco. The big game in the French League 1 today will be Olympique Lyonnais and Lille Metropole. From the French League 1, far away in the German Bundesliga, VfL Bochum will be hosting Stuttgart, and also Freiburg will be playing against Borussia Dortmund. FC Heidenheim will be playing against another disappointed club during midweek in the DFB Pokal, being knocked out by a fourth-tier side. Arminia Bielefeld Bayer 04 Leverkusen will be playing against Heidenheim there. And also, men's 05 will be locking horns against Holstein Kiel, whilst RB Leipzig, they were also knocked out of the DFB Pokal by FC Stuttgart, will be playing against Hoffenheim in the Bundesliga. And the final fixture in the German Bundesliga for Saturday will be Werder Bremen versus Eintracht Frankfurt. In the Italian Serie A Calcio, with a 3-point gap just like the Spanish La Liga, Inter Milan are on top with Napoli chasing them up. But today, Inter will be traveling to play against Parma, whilst Como, Chet Fabregas setting the record straight. They are not ready to go back to the Serie B, playing so well and surviving against even the big clubs. They will be playing against Monza exactly 1 p.m. Also, AC Milan, another struggling side with all good quality players and talent there, will be playing against Fiorentina. In the Spanish La Liga today, Girona versus Deportivo Alaves, and also Real Madrid 2:15 will be hosting Valencia, whilst Real Mallorca will be playing against Celta Vigo, and also FC Barcelona later tonight 7 p.m. will be playing against Real Betis there. On Sunday, fixtures in the English Premier League will be seeing Chelsea after their win during midweek against Tottenham Hotspur, will be playing against Thomas Frank's side Brentford, and also Fulham will be playing against league leaders Liverpool, whilst Tottenham Hotspur will be hoping that they will be beating a struggling side, a team that wants to erase that history. They don't want to be the worst side in the PL history, said by their manager Ivan Juric. Southampton in the big game on Sunday in the English Premier League, the final fixture also for match week 31 will be Manchester United versus Manchester City at Old Trafford on Sunday. In the French Ligue 1, Lens will be playing against Saint Etienne. Montpellier will be playing against Le Havre. By the name Le Havre, Ghanaians will be hoping that their captain Andre Ayew will be in that game against Montpellier. Stade Reims will be playing against Strasbourg, whilst Rennes versus AG Auxerre. Auxerre, two Ghanaian players to watch there. Elisha Owusu and Gideon Mensah were in the squad for training, so hopefully they'll be getting the nod to start that game against Rennes. Olympique Marseille, Roberto Di Zerbi did something strange during midweek by telling the players that he will not train with the players, and also the players retaliated that they will not also train. So during midweek, Marseille did not have their training session, but on Sunday they will be playing against Toulouse. Then two fixtures to wrap up the fixtures in the German Bundesliga for match week 31 will be St. Pauli versus Borussia Mönchengladbach, and the final fixture will be between Union Berlin and Wolfsburg. In the Italian Serie A on Sunday, Lecce will be playing against Venezia, whilst Empoli will be hosting Cagliari. Torino, the Turin club, will be hosting Hellas Verona, and also Atalanta Bergamo will be playing against Lazio, and that big game between AS Roma will be hosting Juventus 6:45 on Sunday to wrap up the fixtures in the Italian Serie A for the weekend. We'll be wrapping up the fixtures in European top 5 leagues in the Spanish La Liga, as Judy Las Palmas will be playing against Real Sociedad. The big game on Sunday in the Spanish La Liga Santander is Sevilla versus Atletico de Madrid. Atletico de Madrid, after being knocked out from the UCL, have lost 3 games on the trot, drawing 2 bad for El Cholo Diego Simeone. They'll be playing against Sevilla, the Ramon Sanchez Pizjuan, 2:15 on Sunday. And also Real Valladolid will be playing against Getafe. Another Ghanaian to watch out will be Inaki Williams against Villarreal. So Athletic Bilbao will be facing off against Villarreal, and that will be the final fixture in the Spanish La Liga on Sunday. So these are the fixtures from the top 5 major European leagues.
So those were games that are coming up in the major European leagues. But then, away from that, we'll definitely come to the English Premier League, where the biggest game, of course, is that one between Manchester United and then Manchester City. But then, of course, both teams are struggling this season. But then there are reports in the transfer window, The summer transfer window is some few months away. During the week, we heard a story of Daniel Amate being courted by Bayern Munich. How true is that? We'll definitely be finding out that. But then before we even do that, let's look at some of the transfer rumors in Europe this morning. Now, Wolverhampton Wanderers have emerged as surprise contenders to sign 25-year-old Manchester United and England winger Jadon Sancho, who is currently on loan with Chelsea this summer. Now, Manchester United and Argentina winger Alejandro Garnacho has hinted at a summer move by putting his 3.85 million mansion up for sale just 12 months after he bought it. Now, Lyon and France attacker Ryan Cherki has a £25 million release clause in his contract with Manchester United and Tottenham among the clubs interested. Now, Manchester United are also eyeing Atalanta's Nigeria international forward Ademola Lookman to address their lack of firepower. Sporting will be willing to lower their asking price for Sweden forward Victor Gyökeres from £85 million to around £59 million, with Arsenal and Manchester United still interested in the forward. Now, Juventus are pushing hard to sign Nigeria international Victor Osimhen this summer, but Manchester United are primed to rival the Italian club for the signature of the Napoli striker, who is currently on loan at Galatasaray. Well, interestingly, in midweek, Galatasaray faced Fenerbahce, and it was hilarious. We had another episode of a classic Jose Mourinho at the Sakra Sarakoglu Stadium. Victor Osimhen actually scored 2 goals in that game as Galatasaray defeated Fenerbahce by 2-1 to progress to the semi-finals of the Turkish Super Cup. Arsenal are no longer interested in signing Newcastle and Sweden striker Alexander Isak, who is set to be offered a new contract by the Magpies. Bayern Leverkusen are keen on Espanyol goalkeeper Juan Garcia, with the 23-year-old Spaniard also being tracked by Arsenal. Inter Milan are not interested in signing Belgium midfielder Kevin De Bruyne, who is 33 years old. He leaves Manchester United on a free Manchester City actually on a free transfer in the summer transfer window. Now, Real Madrid are open to extending 32-year-old Germany defender Antonio Rudiger's contract beyond 2026, despite interest from the Saudi Pro League. Chelsea are not planning to sell Argentina midfielder Enzo Fernandez in the summer transfer window, with the 24-year-old an important part of their plans. And finally, Xabi Alonso is content to remain Bayern Leverkusen boss, with the 43-year-old happy to wait for his chance to follow Carlo Ancelotti in charge of Real Madrid. Well, so those are some transfer rumors ahead of the July opening. Where will your favorite player be heading? We'll be giving you all the roundup on the weekend sports rally with myself, Lukman Evergreen Momin, and the boys in the studio. Again, that on Top 5 on the show, we are asking you a very simple question. Send your answers via Facebook. I mean, if you're watching us live on Facebook, it's ZFMGH. You can send your answers. The question is simple. Who are your top 5 midfielders to ever play in the English Premier League? I mean, following the departure of Kevin De Bruyne. I mean, there are so many good midfielders. Just give us your 5. The guys in the studio will be giving me their 5. And so make sure you join and then give us your answers. But then before we even talk about Kevin De Bruyne, we would have to look at the Ghana Premier League. It's been quite interesting in recent weeks, so we would have to look at what is happening in the Ghana Premier League. All right, guys, welcome to the show once again. I mean, there are so many games that are going to be played this weekend. Unfortunately, that one between Nsukriman and then Bechem United wouldn't be coming on because Nsukriman FC have actually exited the Ghana Premier League. Now, Kumasi Asante Kotoko are on a very good run. They defeated Brecum Chelsea in that outstanding game in midweek by a goal to 0. I mean, Jonathan, you look at where they are at the moment. They are currently top of the table. 45 points. They've been very good. They've not really been convincing with their performances, but then with regards to the results, they've been grinding it. Do you think there is no team that can challenge Asante Kotoko for that title? It is theirs already.
I think Kotoko are on top of the league. So the reason why I started by mentioning Hearts of Oak is they are rivals. Yeah. And then I wanted to link situations of these two clubs, which are not the same, that fans have to get it. The Ghana Premier League table looks in such a way that if you want to take the points tally, goals scored by the clubs, you realize that it is either we want to say the league is not competitive or the clubs are doing well. They are chasing after each other. Yeah. Because Kotoko on top of the league, they've scored 26 goals. They've conceded 45 points. So from the first point to the 6th position as Hearts of Oak, they've also conceded same as the first team on top of the league, which is 14, Hearts of Oak. But they've scored lesser goals than Kotoko, more than 6. So Hearts have rather scored 20 goals, Kotoko have 26 goals. So these are two clubs that Kotoko are on top of the league because clearly they are the most highest scoring side in the Ghana Premier League this season. And kudos to Prosper Nate Ogum. 26 goals by Kotoko. Yeah. So from 26,
but then like you're saying, they've conceded very few goals. They have a very good goalkeeper in Benjamin Asari. I mean, there were questions raised in midweek that Benjamin Asari is back from international duty. So why didn't Abubakar Ouattara field him in that game?
So most of it, when the coach believes, I listened to their post-match conference ahead of that game against Nations FC, that players who train with him
post-match or pre-match?
Pre-match, okay. Ahead of that Nations FC game that Razak Simpson scored that goal. He said something about he will give chance for players who train with him even during the international break to play this outstanding fixture. Okay. So he's trying to give Benjamin Asari a healthy competition. We can't say Asari is now Black Stars' choice goalkeeper, so he should just walk straight back into the Hearts of Oak setup. But then that 12 clean sheet for the goalkeeper, top notch. But to me,
it doesn't make sense. You have a very good goalkeeper in Benjamin Asari. He's the number one. He's now been confirmed the number one
of the Black Stars
for the Black Stars. So why then do you bench him,
saying that? So the coach actually went on the gamble with a goal post.
Okay, so he actually gambled
with a goal post. Okay. Because for a coach to ignore Benjamin Asari, who is available and fit, he trained with the team at Pobiman ahead of that game before they went to the Tuba Ashotev. So Hearts of Oak fans were even expecting Benjamin to be in the goal post. Because people are now drawing the comparison that even the goal that they conceded, that goal,
clearly have done something.
Clearly, if the other goalkeeper was in, would have saved that ball. Because the long range shot from Razak Simpson clearly caught the goalkeeper off guard. He was standing the ball watching, he was just looking at the ball. As a goalkeeper, your reflexes should be sharp, especially when the ball is from the mid area of the field. You have to do something about that.
Ironically, the goal scorer was also part of the Black Stars team. He came and then he was given a chance to even start. In fact, he didn't train with Nations FC prior to the game. But then
so Kasim Mingo rated him that he has to play because they need the numbers.
Black Stars player.
And it has helped them. Now they are into the top 4. Nations FC have 39 points. They are into the top 4. So with Kotoko winning the Ghana Premier League, to me, we have to be a little bit conservative about that. Because 45 points. Hearts of Oak this season. We can't reach their season that they've been poor. Hearts of Oak this season in the Ghana Premier League, they are one of the best sides in terms of playing away fixtures. And then brings me back to this point. For the first time here in Ghana, sports pundits and sports people, we have to analyze this and face the fact that if Real Madrid are going to play a fixture, and we all hear that Kylian Mbappe is not feeling well, we will have people who go into detail and tell us that because Kylian Mbappe is not feeling well, Madrid are going to concede or they will lose. If Barcelona are going to play a fixture and we all hear Paul Kubasi is injured or Koundé won't play, people will start to draw tactical lenses for us to understand that Barcelona are going to concede. This is the case whereby in the Ghana Premier League, one of the biggest clubs in the country, Accra Hearts of Oak, this season they've performed so well away from home. So why don't we ask ourselves, Hearts of Oak are sit on the league log. In terms of away performance, they have 17 points away.
But then we'll definitely be
and
coming
boss,
to Accra.
they are home matches. We are talking about one club that ahead of a big game home, they have to play for a match venue before they play.
Well, yes, talking about
and
match,
to me, I think it contributes so badly to their home performance.
I agree with you on that 100%. I think the clubs that were using Accra Sports Stadium have struggled this season because of the lack of the Accra Sports Stadium. They've been forced to move away.
Yes.
For example, Accra Lions alone have played at the University of Ghana Sports Stadium. They've played at the Sugar Kope Red Bull Arena, and so it affects them. You talk about Accra House of Folk, they've been forced to play at
Tuba
the University of Ghana
Astrotef.
Sports Stadium, the Tuba
Astrotef.
and you talk about Legon Cities, it's almost the same story. And it is no surprise that it is the Accra clubs that are struggling.
They are struggling
this season, and so it's quite sad. But then we'll be listening to Yaw Ampofo Ankara on that stadium issue. But then before we even do that, now let's move to, you think we should take time with regards to Kotoko winning the league
because they are on top.
Yeah, so let me just run you guys through the league table. Then we move to Accra House of Oak. So this is how the league table looks like. Kumasi Asante Kotoko are currently top of the table with 45 points. BBN Gold Stars follow in second position with 44 points. So it is just a point separating Kumasi Asante Kotoko and BBN Gold Stars. Heart of Lions are in third position with 40 points. Nations FC follow in third position with in fourth position actually with 39 points. That win against Accra House of Oak was huge for them. Midiama SC are in fifth position, Accra House of Oak in sixth position, Bechem United in seventh position. Dreams FC have climbed to eighth position for a team that was battling relegation in the first round. They are now 8th on the Ghana Premier League table. FC Samatex, the champions, are 9th on the table. Brekum Chelsea are 10th. Young Apostles are 11th on the table. Adriana Stars in 12th position. Vision FC in 13th position. And then there is Basake Holy Stars, who are in 14th position. Karela United are in 15th position. These are the teams in the relegation zone. Accra Lions are in 16th position with 23 points. Legon Cities are in 17th position with 21 points. And Swatriman FC, they are no more playing in the Ghana Premier League, and so they are technically out of the competition. Now to Accra House of Folk. I mean, Teddy, Accra House of Folk, they've not been on a very good run at all. In fact, in the last 5 games, they are yet to win a game in the Ghana Premier League. They come up against a very stubborn side, Midiama FC, a team that has also won the Ghana Premier League in recent times. In fact, 2 seasons ago, they were the champions of the Ghana Premier League. They are being coached by a very good trainer, Ibrahim Chanko. I mean, what is wrong with Accra House of Folk? Why are they on that run?
Well, first of all, before I respond to your question, let's all get it right that the Ghana Premier League is still open despite Kumasi Asante Kotoko being the first team on the table, because when you check the table from the first to the 5th team, I think it's only 6 points separating Nations FC from Asante Kotoko. And here lies the case: Asante Kotoko is going away this weekend, playing at the Lions Den at Kpando. Remember last season when they went there, they lost at that Kpando ground. And coming to Accra House of Folk, like Jonathan said, I think they've been dominant away this season. They've been very good playing away games this season. But you know, their venues for the home games is actually costing them a lot. Yeah, like how he said it. Today they change venues. The next game they go to, I think the Tuba Astrotef, the Legon, and you know, they keep on of changing venues for their home grounds is costing them a lot. So I think they are coming up against Midiama, and if you look at the table, I think it's just a point separating the 2 teams. So if they want to keep their momentum in this Ghana Premier League, I think they shouldn't, lose the 3 points in this game. All they have to do is to go for a win or a draw, and I think it will give them the results and the momentum going forward.
Well, so Accra House of Oak would have to get their 3 points as quick as possible, says Teddy. But then after that defeat to Nations FC in midweek, their coach Abubakar Ouattara had this to say.
I tell you before the match, I say it's a strong team. We are playing against one strong team, but today, unfortunately, we lose. It's a very well team in our organization, get good organization. We do everything possible, but unfortunately, it's the same disaster we have. The ability to score, the scoring possibility, we have the problem for that. But we are continuing to make it every time.
Well, so that was Abubakar Ouattara, the coach of Accra House of Oak. I mean, he is worried about the scoring rate of his team. In fact, Jonathan said it here. They've not really been a goal scoring team, and that has been their problem. Because if they are one of the teams with the best defense in the league, they should be scoring some good goals. But then, unfortunately, that has been the problem of Accra House of Oak, and that alone wouldn't sum up their campaign. In fact, we've been talking about the venue changes. Like you guys said, it's really affected them. But then the Director General of the National Sports Authority, Yao Ampofo-Ankra, has been speaking about the closure of the Accra Sports Stadium, and this is what he had to say.
Planning, preparation, prevention. So we can plan to get this venue upgraded. We can plan to get Baba Yara, Cape Coast upgraded. You know, we can prepare with what we have and what we need in terms of bringing in extra resources, whether it's technology, you know, logistics, floodlights or scoreboard. And then, of course, prevention, in that we don't need to wait until CAF knocks or FIFA knocks on our doors or, you know, at our doorstep before we take these measures. So we need to be proactive, and that is exactly what I want to do.
Well, so that is the General Secretary, the Director General, actually, of the National Sports Authority speaking there. I mean, the stadium issue has become a huge problem for Accra House of Oak. But then let me just put it straight to you guys. For Accra House of Oak and Kumasi Asante Kotoko, don't you think that it is long overdue for these clubs to have their own stadia? Jonathan?
It's actually long overdue for them, but they can't do anything at the moment. That's the problem. Because we are going to measure the long overdue based on what the other clubs like in their shoes will do. The Zamalek with the same pedigree of Hearts of Oak now have their clubs. But we have to also know that this is Zamalek that they've dominated on the continent. So you can talk about money which is coming into the club based on their performance. So they have the funding. But this is Hearts of Oak and Kotoko. They've been struggling since the 80s now. So where do you think they'll get that money to invest in even raising a stadium for themselves?
But then it means that they didn't do things properly, because you talk of
during their peak, they should have at least.
Of course, you talk of them being in the same category with the likes of. In fact, they are no more in that category. But then historically, you look at them. You look at Accra House of Oak. You look at Kumasi Asante Kotoko. You mentioned them. You mentioned Al Ahly, Esperance de Tunis, with that Casablanca. Things haven't been right for them. Do you think that we have to blame the lack of funds coming in as the major problem for Accra House of Oak? Because if your co-equals have been able to reach that level, it's because they took advantage of their peak. Yes. I mean, as we speak, the Club World Cup, which is happening in June, each of the 4 African representatives are taking as much as $9.55 million US. Accra House of Oak should be there.
Yes.
But this is so. I mean, the same question. I pose the same question to you. Do you think it's long overdue?
Yes,
why are they not? Because if we are saying it's long overdue, why are they not doing anything to show that, look, we are starting something?
Well, like Marvin said it, they should have taken advantage. Jonathan, they should have taken advantage of their heydays, because to me, all boils down to management. All boils down to management. The consistency they keep in, participating in the continental level should be driving home funds, like how Jonathan said it. So I think the management of these two clubs should sit up and draw their timetables and try to do for their respective clubs.
And look, man, you see, there's this point to here. During their heydays, to me, I feel like they were more reluctant because of the availability of the Baba Yara Sports Stadium and the Accra Sports Stadium. So the projection, the vision of thinking that one day The Accra Sports Stadium is not our property as a club.
I mean, that for me is not an excuse.
Because these clubs, they really got some good money in their prime days.
Yeah. I mean,
there
there is that saying that you make your hay while the sun shines.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
They
they've waited for the rain to fall, and now look at what it's gotten them. I mean, the last 2-3 seasons we've seen Accra Hearts of Oak battle relegation.
Yeah.
One of these problems has to do with stadium. The stadium issue didn't start this year. It's been there for some time now. And we've not seen any signs from Accra Hearts of Oak or Kumasi Asante Kotoko, building their own stadium. But then, like you're saying, I'm saying that it's not an excuse, because you look at a club like AC Milan and then Inter Milan. They are using the same stadium.
Yeah.
The stadium does not belong to them. It belongs to the state. But then if it comes to a critical point, and AC Milan and Inter Milan would have to use another stadium, they have facilities that are good enough to host games. Maybe not to that level, but then they have facilities that can host matches. Do Accra Hearts of Oak and Kumasi Asante Kotoko have the same? Maybe Accra Hearts of Oak, but Kumasi Adako Jachie, Ghana Premier League game, impossible. So
even Hearts of Oak are probably mine to the Ghana Premier League. I think they play MTN FA Cup fixtures over there. But I'm yet to see a Ghana Premier League match being played at Proby Man. And the issue now is, where is the funding for that Proby Man? Clearly, we can't attribute Proby Man to Hearts of Oak winning laurels to earn money. So you see clearly that Togbo Afedi is even trying his possible best to invest in the club. Meanwhile, the club is not yielding out profits. Because this is Hearts of Oak. In their past 3 seasons, they've been lingering around relegation, just as you said. Not even to win the Ghana Premier League to earn some prize money. To talk of signing big players to compete continentally. So the club will continue to struggle until the investments yield profits. And as we speak, Proby Man is on the verge of completion. Clearly, we can all talk about Togbo investing in the club from his own coffers, not the club investing and then the club actually bringing back profits for the club. And football, like England, Spain, UEFA, we have to check the FP rules and everything, because the money which the club brings on board is the same money that the club should spend. And this is Hearts of Oak. They're not even bringing anything on board. All they know for the past 3 years is lingering around relegation. I remember when they played against Real Bamako from Mali in the Confederations Cup. They went away, played a draw. They came here at the Accra Sports Stadium. They conceded 4 goals. So clearly, these are teams. They performing in Africa now is no more what they enjoy doing. Samuel Boadu gave us a glimpse of Hearts of Oak that we wanted to see. When they played against Wydad Casablanca at the Accra Sports Stadium, we were able to beat them by 1-0. They went there in the return encounter, they conceded 6 goals.
Well, I mean, that game, especially the one in Accra, was one of Hearts of Oak's best games that I've seen in the last 5 years. It's unfortunate that they didn't take their chances in that match, and then they went to Morocco and then suffered that humiliation. But then maybe they could have built on that team. Unfortunately, they didn't do that. But then that is it with the Ghana Premier League. Before we move away from the Ghana Premier League, I'm going to do a simple exercise with you guys. Prediction time. I'll mention the game and then you give me your scoreline. I'll do so with you, Teddy, and then you give me your scoreline. So, Heart of Lions versus Kumasi Asante Kotoko. Jonathan?
I'll go for Kotoko. They are on top of the league.
They are going on the road, though. They are playing away. Yeah,
they are playing away. They are one side that they will struggle with. But I think Prosper Ogum is on the mission. After the incident which happened at the Nanako Namansa Park, after police, tragic death and things.
So you think they are inspired?
They are inspired by that.
Okay.
They are inspired by that.
All right. Adriana Stars versus Vision FC. Teddy.
I think Adriana will go for the win because they are home in this encounter.
Okay, so a win for Adriana Stars.
I will deviate with him. Going for Kotoko. I think Kotoko will lose at Mando.
Okay, all right. Okay, so
Kotoko will lose at Mando.
Okay, if Kotoko will be losing at Mando, we'll wait to see that. Yes. Now to the next game, FC Samatex Accra Lions. Jonathan.
Samatex Lions. So Samatex are not having a good campaign in terms of defending the Ghana Premier League this season. Yeah. Lions too are one side that they are very tricky this season. They pull results and there are some games that they will fall. So I think that game, perfect results will be the draw.
Okay, a draw.
Samatex Lions will be a draw.
Well, so interestingly, games against FC Samatex and then Accra Lions have always been a draw on the road. It was only last season that Samatex defeated Accra Lions.
When they were winning the Ghana
Yeah,
Premier League.
Yeah. All right, so Teddy, the next one is for you, and that game is between Young Apostles and then Legon Cities. Who wins for you?
I think the position of Legon Cities is not the best, so I will, urge them to, grab these 3 points.
You want Legon Cities to win that one?
Because I want them to survive the Ghana Premier
All
League.
right, so I'll still remain with you. Heart of Oak versus Mediama.
Please, I'll go for House of Oak.
House of Oak to win that one. Jonathan Baseke, Holy Stars versus Brecum Chelsea.
Basake Holy Stars versus Brecum Chelsea, a big game. Called Brecum Chelsea with Samuel Boadu. They want to do. I think this one game that I'll have to go for a draw because Basake Holy Stars are not doing bad for themselves.
Okay.
They are playing so well in the league. If you talk about meeting the bigger sides, the big clubs, they grind their results also. So playing against Brecum Chelsea at their home grounds will be a draw.
All right, so the last one will be for both of you guys. It is Nations FC and then Karela United.
Nations FC at the home. I think
Kasim Mengo will win this for Nations.
Okay, all right.
Nations
So
FC win.
okay, so those were predictions from my panelists in the studio, Jonathan and then Teddy, talking us through that game, the games that are coming up in the Ghana Premier League. Well, away from the Ghana Premier League to the English Premier League, and the first game is already in session. Everton versus Arsenal currently at the Goodison Park. It is already 30 minutes and it is still goalless between the title chasers and the Premier League survivors. Also, to run you through the lineups for the two teams, in goal for Everton is Jordan Pickford. There is also Jake O'Brien on the right side of defense. James Tarkowski and Gerard Brathwaite play in the center of defense for Everton, with Nathan Patterson playing on the left side of defense for Everton. In the middle of the park, there is Idrissa Gana Gueye and then team in the middle for Everton. And then up front, there is Jack Harrison, Abdullahi Dakori, Iliman Ndiaye, and Beto. So these are the 11 men in action for Everton. For Arsenal, in the post is David Raya. In defense, there is Ben White, William Saliba, and Jacob Kiwior. Remember, Gabriel has suffered an injury and has been ruled out for the rest of the season. Meanwhile, Miles Lewis Kelly will be playing on the left side of defense. Surprisingly, there is no Thomas Partey in the starting lineup for Arsenal. There is Mikel Merino in the middle for Arsenal. There is also Jorginho, Declan Rice. These are the three guys that are in the middle of the park for Arsenal. What is Mikel Arteta doing? Has he already given up on the English Premier League? Because there is also no Mikel Odegaard in that game. Up front, there is Ethan Nwaneri, Leandro Trossard, and then Raheem Sterling. And so there is no Bukayo Saka as well. Obviously, Arsenal have given up on the league already.
In a crucial game without the playmaker of the side, who is Martin Odegaard. And clearly, in a point of investors, I want to say this. You see, ahead of the game, Arsenal were having the smaller odds. But ahead of kickoff, 30 minutes to kickoff, it rose, and now I asked myself, what is the problem? And clearly, I think it's because of the lineup. Because if you look at the lineup, Raheem Sterling, Jacob Kiwior as your right back, playing against a David Moyes inspired Everton that they want to survive relegation. And this season, Everton have been so good against the bigger sides.
In fact,
just about their defeat against Liverpool during midweek,
they have not lost a game under David Moyes until that
defeat against Liverpool.
Liverpool.
So playing against Arsenal, clearly Arsenal is one side that they are lost in their own hopes, because you check the gap between Arsenal and the Liverpool, and you look at the injury situation. Because ahead of the game, Mikel Arteta said something that it is sad for them, because Saka came back from injury, and now Gabriel Magalhaes, who is their centre back, reliable rock for this club, keeping their defensive shape well with their David Raya, Ben White, and Saliba. Now there's no Gabriel Magalhaes, and because of that, Jacob Kiwior, with fewer minutes in the season, is now enjoying play. You ask yourself, players stay on the bench to turn rusty. playing against Everton today will be a big game and a tough match for us now to even win.
All right, so it is definitely a very big one for us now. If they drop points today, we can officially confirm that Liverpool will be the winners of the 2024-2025.
Even if they win, Liverpool still win.
Why do you people keep on doing this?
Yes, because I think the points difference between Liverpool and Arsenal is over 10.
You know, it reminds me of a funny story
It's
from a
over 10,
friend.
yeah.
He says if Arsenal was to be a human being and then it was a man, and it was rivaling him for his girlfriend, he wouldn't even worry about it because it's Arsenal.
Yes. And because when you look at Liverpool are out of the I think the Champions League. They've lost the Carabao.
So they are focused
on the Premier League. So I don't see us now, doing a miracle to overcome Liverpool in this Premier League.
Well, I mean, Mikel Arteta would disagree with you guys, but then this is what he had to say about the injury of Gabriel ahead of that Everton game.
It was a tough one to digest because we just got Bukayo back and then we lose Gabi. So it was tough. The team reacted like he has reacted all season. So really proud of that, and we know that he's going to be out for a while, so we need to find different solutions and keep competing the way we have been all season. Has to be, because we've come so far and now we have the most important, beautiful part of the season, and we have to react to those things, and that means that another players are going to have opportunities to play, and the team has to find other ways, and it is a big miss, undoubtedly, but we have the resources to cope with that.
Also, that was Mikel Arteta talking about the injury to Gabriel. So Gabriel has been ruled out for the rest of the season. But then talking about Arsenal, the breaking news is that they've taken the lead against Everton in that one. Leandro Trossard with the opening, and then Raheem Sterling actually assisted him for that goal. Now to the main talking point, Kevin De Bruyne. I mean, he has finally agreed to hang up his boots at Manchester City, not to football. He's leaving Manchester City at the end of the season. So Kevin De Bruyne will be leaving the club after so many success with Manchester City. So now, Kevin De Bruyne has announced he will leave Manchester City when his contract expires at the end of the season. De Bruyne has won 16 trophies since joining from Wolfsburg in 2015. So it's been 10 years, including 6 Premier League titles and the UEFA Champions League in 2023. Now, reacting to the news, City manager Pep Guardiola said De Bruyne is one of the greatest midfielders to ever play in the country. Now, this brings me to the question of the day. Who are your top 5 midfielders to ever play in the Premier League? But then now let's talk about Kevin De Bruyne. He's been at Manchester City for 10 good years. He's won 16 trophies, 6 Premier League titles. Where do you put Kevin De Bruyne with regards to the greats in the English Premier League?
So, with this topic, you see each players. We've seen big guys play in the English Premier League. They all have their niche, what they were very proactive at. Their productivity level, what they were very used to doing for their teams. If you talk about Cesc Fabregas, you can't attribute Fabregas to maybe scoring more goals for his club, but the passing game and dictating the pace of the game and creativity in the midfield is for Cesc Fabregas. So talking about the greats in the English Premier League, I will agree with Pep Guardiola and even other coaches talking about Kevin De Bruyne that he's one of the best. But De Bruyne in perspective, even Kevin De Bruyne himself knows well that in terms of playing as a half winger, joining the attack, giving passes into your opposition half, that progressive passing into your opponent's yard is one thing that you can't take from Kevin De Bruyne. Because in the last 10 years, decade, playing in the English Premier League, if you want to talk about ball progressors of the game in the English Premier League, top 10 Kevin De Bruyne, I said he was 7th. In terms of moving the ball,
he doesn't even make your top 5.
He's not in the top 5 of ball progressors in the EPL.
Okay, I mean
in the last 10 years.
Well, so the thing is, we'll definitely come to the top 5, but then to put it in perspective, his all-round play. And you check the club that he played for, Manchester City. Clearly, Kevin De Bruyne's departure is going to, have impact on Manchester City. And listening to Pep Guardiola, he said something that baffles me a lot. He said, Kevin is leaving, maybe I was supposed to leave before Kevin, or Kevin is leaving, I also leave. That's what Pep Guardiola said. And I'm worried because if you're a Manchester City fan now, in the last decade, players who have impacted this club, he made mention of David Silva. He added Kevin De Bruyne and Sergio Kun Aguero. These are guys who left the club. That finding replacements is yet to be known. Even Riyad Mahrez, who left recently, nobody can compare Savino and Doku to Riyad Mahrez. So the impact that they have on the league is visible, but the club Manchester City is indelible that you can't clean it up. You have to have players who have to fill the gaps, because in his lifetime playing for Manchester City, over 250 assists for a club. Clearly they've scored multiple goals, winning the EPL with above 100 goals. Clearly he's one guy who has over half percentage of assists into these goals. Erling Haaland recently in 2 seasons has enjoyed assists from one player in the English Premier League, and it is Kevin De Bruyne. But this season we've all seen that age will catch you up. Yes. You can't mention Kevin De Bruyne and talk to me that this season he's on top of his game. Clearly this season Kevin De Bruyne is off. And what happened to Ilkay Gundogan leaving and then coming back? With Pep and what he confirmed about the player, and the statement that Kevin De Bruyne also issued on Twitter states clearly that he agreed to leave because the club understands his time is up. This season, players who have lost possession more in their opponent's half, something that's his attribute, what he enjoys doing well, playing against your opponents, not in your own half, but dictating pace of the game in their own half. If you want to talk about players who have lost the ball most times this season, Kevin De Bruyne is in there. Even short passing, long range passing, everything is off for the guy. And I understand and agree with people linking him to the Major League Soccer, because the energy level of Kevin De Bruyne has dropped totally. Even when he is fit, he gets injured at certain times that football fans don't even understand. So at the age of 33, with Kevin De Bruyne leaving Manchester City, the big question is who fills that gap? Who now fills the shoes of KDB? Because his impact on Manchester City in the last few years is too much, massive for the club that they've enjoyed so much from it. If they want to maintain the standards, he's one of the greatest midfielders they've ever had in their history. Well, I mean, some say he is the greatest player to ever play for Manchester City, looking at what he's been able to do with the team. But then the interesting part is that he remains the only player that Pep Guardiola came to meet at Manchester City.
Survived his spell.
He's really survived. He stayed there for a very long time. But then, I mean, before we even talk about how that will affect Manchester City, let's listen to people who have, great admiration for Kevin De Bruyne. The coach of Brentford, Thomas Frank, had this to say about KDB.
A surprise. I think I heard also he was out of contract in the end of the season. But can only praise him. One of the best midfielders in the Premier League ever. You guys know that bit. Oh, there's a few good ones, huh? There's a few good ones. But let's say the more offensive central midfielders, let's say Lampard, Gerrard, of course iconic England ones in the center of the pitch. Beckham, of course, but played a little bit more to the right. I think De Bruyne is up there. He's up there. And the good thing is I don't need to use too much time on it. There will be several so-called experts that will dissecate this and go into detail who was the best one ever. But I think he is a top player, almost complete player in many ways, and I think he's been crucial for Man City's success the last years.
So, of course, I mean, Kevin De Bruyne has been so important to Manchester City in the last few years. Like we are saying, he's won 16 trophies with the club.
Yeah.
I mean, Teddy, you look at what he's been able to accomplish with Manchester City.
Yeah.
I mean, for most of his time under Pep Guardiola, his presence was like the key to, you know, making the difference for Manchester City. Now he's leaving. How would that affect Manchester City?
Yes, it will affect Manchester City in so many ways, because Kevin De Bruyne was that guy, or he's one of those players that, you know, the world of football will miss a lot. And it is very difficult to see such players, you know, in football again, because when you look at Kevin De Bruyne, he's one of the players who survived Pep's first season. After the first season that Pep Guardiola settled at Manchester City, he's one of the players that survived when he was overhauling the team. I think he was among the likes of Aguero, Vincent Kompany, David Silva, and the rest. And they brought in, you know, new players, and that was when the Manchester City team, you know, started to gel. So I think he has the numbers when it comes to, you know, winning trophies, assists, and, you know, his vision, moving the ball forward, carrying the ball, dropping deep to come and, you know, take the ball. And one thing I enjoyed about Kevin De Bruyne so much is his composure. Whenever he's on the ball, he has, you know, good composure. And one game that defines Kevin De Bruyne for me is the game they played against Brazil when they faced Belgium faced Brazil in the 2018 World Cup. If you know, you look at where Lukaku, you know, did the magic by carrying the ball, passing to Kevin De Bruyne, reading the goalkeeper, and shooting the ball by scoring. Yeah, I think whenever I remember Kevin De Bruyne, that game comes to mind. So De Bruyne's departure,
So I'm coming on. So with all that he's done in the Premier League, with the one thing you actually remember him for is the World Cup and
the
not
World Cup
in the Premier
no,
League.
no.
With Pep Guardiola, Manchester City winning even the Champions League in 2023.
No.
But he, winning the Champions League in 2023, objectively, we would say Rodri played much of a bigger role in there than Kevin De Bruyne. In fact, he got injured in the final, in the first half of that final.
Even in the first final against Chelsea
too,
he got injured. And I don't know why that happened to him in the two finals. So let's talk about his leaving and how it will affect the Manchester City team. This is where Pep has to, you know, come in with, you know, the idea of bringing at least, maybe they might not find his right replacement, but I think they have to do something, because sometimes when you see Kevin De Bruyne, you know, is out of the team for a while due to injury, you feel his absence.
Yeah.
You feel his absence.
In fact, we can use this season as an example. In most of the games that, in fact, because he's not on form, Manchester City have struggled.
Yes, they have struggled, and we can also see because Rodri is also not that active this season.
They complement each other.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so I think it will take time for Manchester City to, you know, fill Kevin De Bruyne's vacuum, because I don't think they can get the results in next year's summer.
All right,
it will take some time.
Talking about results, now let's look at it going forward. From what we've seen this season, Jonathan, you look at it going forward, how long will it take for Manchester City to bounce back? I mean, because it doesn't look like Pep Guardiola has really got the solution at this particular moment.
Now, yes.
So with Guardiola and getting solutions and then finding their feet back next season, depends on two things. Guardiola really wants to stay or he wants to leave, because from all his statements, he even issued a statement first that
he signed
if they found themselves guilty from the 115 charges, then he will leave. We are yet still waiting for the verdict on that issue. And even with Kevin De Bruyne's departure, you listen to Pep and clearly it's more or less like he wanted to even leave before Kevin De Bruyne. So this coach signed a contract extension to stay. But anything can happen. To me, Pep needs to accept the situation and then solve it, because solving this depends on money. With player profiles, Manchester City can go in for Florian Wirtz, Jamal Musiala. They can pay. They have the money. These are right profiles to fill in the gap. The only problem was that if they knew Kevin De Bruyne would be leaving, then why Julian Alvarez departure? Because Alvarez was one player who was able to fill the vacuum last season when Kevin De Bruyne was injured. That guy was instrumental last season for them. But he left. So now they have to bring in new players. There's Victor Rice. They've bought centre backs, Kusunov. These are guys, their first season rough. But I think next season, Manchester City's problem won't take so much time. Because if there's money if there's that demand and the club understands, Pep Guardiola knows that there's no way you can do wonders with these players. You have to get in new players. There's already Mamu showing glimpses while they are struggling. So next season, new brand, start for these players. I believe City will bounce back next season.
Next season, are you sure?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Interesting. But why aren't you sure?
Rodri is recovering. I
Yeah.
think he's now with the team, but not playing yet.
Yeah, so you believe that they will be bouncing back
next season.
very soon. Now, Teddy, you don't think they will be bouncing back anytime soon. What are your reasons?
Because I can see the system a club built before he left Liverpool. I think Ancelotti has fit in into the system, and I think if Liverpool are to get, I think they'll be losing probably Arnold. Alexander Arnold next season.
Even Salah and then Van Dijk are still on the verge.
But then we are talking about City.
Yeah.
So I think if Liverpool are to do the right replacement for those players, I think they can still compete for the league than Manchester City next season.
Oh, okay. So you think the competition from Liverpool wouldn't make it easy for Manchester City to bounce back?
Yes.
Okay. It makes a lot of sense. But then talking about KDB, this is what Pep Guardiola had to say about that midfielder.
Not a surprise. I think I heard also he was out of contract at the end of the season. But
sad day. A happy day for the fact that the pleasure personally that we live, or I live this time with him. What he gave us, all of us, his humanity, and of course, don't necessarily tell his influence in our success in the last decade. That will be impossible to imagine, without him. And a sad day because, of course, it's part of us, he's living. So when Vincent left, or Sergio left, or David Silva left, and these players have been contribution, and I will say more names, so these examples 3. Of course, it's a time that, it's a sad day. So, but still we have 10 games and hopefully 11 and 6 games at home that we can enjoy with our fans, and he will get, I'm pretty sure, the love and the recognition that all of us, the fans of course, that he deserves.
Well, so that was Pep Guardiola reflecting on his time with Kevin De Bruyne. Unfortunately, he's going to be losing his loyal customer. But then I'm still waiting for you guys to give me your top 5 midfielders of all time in the English Premier League. Think about it. But then already I'm getting some very interesting messages here. This one says that, hello Lukman, my name is Steven Amegashi from Osu. My top 5 Premier League midfielders of all time are Steven Gerrard, Patrick Vieira, Paul Scholes, Ryan Giggs, Yaya Toure, in no particular order. Wow, that is a solid squad. Now this one says that, hello Evergreen and the boys in the studio. My name is Jeffrey Autry from Medina Estate. My top 5 EPL midfielders of all time are Frank Lampard, Steven Gerrard, Paul Scholes, Michael Carrick, and Kevin De Bruyne. Wow, so Kevin De Bruyne features in Jeffrey Autry's top 5. Again, you can send your messages via the WhatsApp line 0544321019, 0544321019. You can also watch us live on Facebook, ZFMGH, where you can send your messages, as well as on YouTube. We are streaming live, and so you can watch us on YouTube, Z Multimedia, and then on Facebook, ZFMGH. Well, this is another message. This one says that, hello Evergreen, Momin, good morning my guy. My name is Isa Mohammed. My favorite midfielders of all time in the Premier League are Paul Scholes, Roy Keane, Yaya Toure, Patrick Vieira, and Stevie G. I like the messages that are coming in. There are few constants in there. It looks as Paul Scholes has been running through a lot of people's lists. There is also Patrick Vieira. There is also Frank Lampard. Stevie G is in there. We've only had one for Kevin De Bruyne, which is quite surprising because he's someone we are talking about, and so he's the reason we are doing this, and he's only getting one vote. All right, keep your messages coming on the Sports Rally live on ZFMGH, and on you can also send it on WhatsApp like we are already asking. But then before we even leave the Kevin De Bruyne issue, now let's look at Manchester City. They have a big game tomorrow against Manchester United. That could probably be Kevin De Bruyne's last Manchester derby. What do you think will be running through his mind ahead of tomorrow's game, especially being the derby, Jonathan?
So I think one thing is, to be a citizen, you have to learn how to hate Manchester United. Not just hate them, call them your rivals. Even if they will play good football or not, you have to accept the fact that you play against them and not expect them to win. But funny enough, Manchester United last 2 games against Manchester City all went the good way for Manchester United, not Manchester City. So if you are Kevin De Bruyne and you are cementing your name, he's already that big guy for Manchester City. But in a big game like this season, De Bruyne is off. This is more or less like a farewell game against your rivals. The City, the derby, big game for them. But you see, the game in perspective, if I'm to analyze some possible outcomes in the game, Manchester United manager Ruben Amorim said something that they have bigger problems than Manchester City, and I agree with him. He is one coach who accepted the United deal on a now or never basis because he really wanted to come at the start of next season to start pre-season, even be part of the transfer window during summer before he arrives. But the deal from United was that no, Ten Hag was taking the club on acceleration descendancy, so they needed a savior, and they went in for the Portuguese manager. He came in his first 3 games, United fans were happy. The shortest happiness for fans in football was United under Ruben Amorim first 3 games because they saw a pattern. They saw the players playing so well. Johnny Evans started that game, and I realized that Ruben Amorim was trying to give that opportunity to the players. You have to justify your inclusion in my setup because this is more or less like a preparatory stage for Ruben Amorim for next season proper. And before realized that you can't use Casemiro to play the system that he was enjoying with Katabo, Kwenda at Sporting CP. So these United crop of players proves to the coach that implementing his ideology and how good he is with them is difficult. That's why he went in for Patrick Dogu. And this season, if you want one of the sprinters, players who have running, covering the high distance, Patrick Dogu is in there after playing few matches for Manchester United. And these are players that Ruben Amorim enjoys to play with, fast players, because you'll be playing the 3-back system. You can't be enjoying the 3-back system with John Evans. So I agree. Ruben Amorim, with all these flaws, with all these issues, generally the club understand that he is not the cause of it. Their recruit system, before the coach proves clearly that he is fixing in square posts in round pegs. And if United accept this basis, then next season they will bounce back. Even in their struggling state, out of possible 57, Amorim have given them 20 points. But there's one interesting fact about United, that in all their games against the bigger sides in the EPL, they grind and get results. Yes. Against Manchester United, we saw that enduring game that Amad Diallo got them that late winner. It will not be easy for you to beat Manchester City in stoppage time. Yes. Clearly, they survived Pep Guardiola's scare. He's one coach who enjoys and knows how to play against Guardiola. Yes. Even with Sporting CP, he used to beat Manchester City. Yes, and with Manchester United, he was able to beat Manchester City. Yes. So even if there are issues with the club in terms of players available for the coach to implement what we know he does, one thing you can't take away from Ruben Amorim is the mentality when they are playing against bigger opponents. We saw it against Arsenal. They eliminated Arsenal from the FA Cup on penalties. Yes. That's how far they can go. So playing against Manchester City, a side that needs reincarnation because they got complacent.
I mean, under Amorim, they also drew with Liverpool.
Yes, under Amorim, they drew with Liverpool. And if you check the squad, even the value of the players. You check the quality available, players available. Nobody expected Ruben Amorim to be getting such results against the Vega side in the EPL.
All right, let me just use this opportunity to acknowledge our viewers on Facebook. Anita Chantel says, great analysis from you guys. This one says that, well done, bro. Prosper for sympathy. I think he's talking to one of you guys. He continued to say, more vim, bro. Yeah, talking about more vim. Another guy with some vim has already entered the studio. So Marvin is in with the vim. Yeah, Marvin is in with the vim. These days he's trying to become a habitual latecomer, but then one day we'll just catch him and then lash him so that he understands that we are not here to joke.
I know everyone listening to us will forgive me.
Yeah, of course. I mean, yeah. So, welcome anyway to the show. It's another lovely Saturday on the show. We are talking the English Premier League, but then we are almost done with Kevin De Bruyne. Teddy, talking about Kevin De Bruyne, for Jonathan, he thinks that this is an opportunity for him to bow out gracefully, especially in his last derby. Now, let's put Kevin De Bruyne in perspective with regards to Manchester derby. He's won so many of those games. Tomorrow it is his final Manchester City derby. Not just that game, but then the run-up to the end of the season. What do you think Kevin De Bruyne will be giving to the team before he finally says goodbye?
I think tomorrow being his last game in the Manchester derby, I think previewing the game, I think City looks favorites, going into this game, because Manchester United, since Amorim came, I think they lost Sancho, they lost Rashford, they lost Anthony. I think 3 forwards, but they've not been able to replace them. That's why you see Manchester United, when they are, in terms of goal scoring, I don't think they are potent. They have been very poor. So tomorrow being the last game for Kevin De Bruyne, I expect I think a win for them, because like Jonathan said, it's even if you are a City fan, you need to hate United with passion. So I see.
So Kevin De Bruyne hates United with passion.
We all know these players. They went to the blue side of
They have nothing
to do with the
so tomorrow I see City slightly ahead, and in tomorrow's encounter against Manchester United, even though Amorim won the first leg, I think Pep Guardiola can perform a match.
So you know what Amorim said about Kevin De Bruyne. He says that Kevin De Bruyne joined the wrong Manchester club, and I agree with him.
I agree too.
Yeah, historically, Man United will always be Man United. But then let's bring in Marvin. Marvin, I mean, we've been talking at length about Kevin De Bruyne. In fact, the question of the day today is that who are the top 5 midfielders to ever play in the English Premier League? Where would you be ranking Kevin De Bruyne? We've all seen what he's been able to do. Let me just land first. We've all seen what he's been able to do in the English Premier League. For you look at what he's done, his legacy for Manchester City. Where do you place him as one of the best in the Premier League?
Okay, first of all, I'll say hello, good afternoon to everyone listening to us. And with Kevin De Bruyne, I think that how his career began was much more of a slow career. Remember the times he was in Chelsea, when he wasn't fit, he went to Wolfsburg, it picked for him in 2 seasons, then he came back to Manchester City. So I think for him in this game, that should be his last bow out. Because to look at this and see how you have risen, the fact that Chelsea didn't believe in you, you came back and you have performed beyond doubt. You've proved every single person wrong, and even every pundit says that puts you in the ranks with compared to the likes of the best midfielders who have ever played in the Premier League. She'll tell you that you've had a very, very good career. And to me, I rate De Bruyne very, very high. Looking at the way he came from Wolfsburg and the way, especially 2015-16, his stats against Wolfsburg, goals, everything, assists, everything. I remember that Europa League when Wolfsburg got to, I think that's the quarterfinal. They were taken out by Napoli. That season was very, very excellent for Wolfsburg. And you realize that he was a very integral part of that season. That was how come he broke through to the Manchester City side, and he performed arguably well up until now. So for me, I understand that he's proving everybody wrong. There's nothing for him to prove again. And after this, he should just arguably retire or just go and try his luck in Saudi or somewhere in Saudi. And then again, to me, he's the best midfielder Manchester City have ever had. But the modern Manchester City. I think maybe you could say Elano. Maybe I think from Mark Hughes' time, Elano and all that. But to me, the modern Manchester City, he's the best. Aside Gundogan,
not even Yaya Toure.
Oh, come on.
What about David Silva?
As compared to him, Yaya Toure is also good in his own way, right?
Yeah.
But then rating African midfielders, Yaya Toure is up there.
No, but then, so you think Kevin De Bruyne is ahead of Yaya Toure at Manchester City?
In terms of like style of play, I think he's really, really ahead of him.
Okay.
And the way he's proven himself to a lot of pundits, I just don't know what Yaya Toure did to a lot of Manchester City faithful. But we Africans see him as very good. But the likes of the BBC and all that and all this,
Yaya Toure.
So many people don't rate him like the way we rate him.
So funny, interesting thing. Ask them. I read 4 messages from fans. 3 had Yaya Toure in there, and only 1 had Kevin De Bruyne.
Even the fans outside in the survey, it's more or less like people don't see the impact or how huge. We all know De Bruyne is good, but how huge he is in the Premier League history, people are not rating him because we heard names like Patrick Vieira.
Yeah. In fact, there are more messages coming. But then
let me just have my point.
Yeah,
right?
it's his opinion.
Exactly. Yeah. So then again, I'm just saying that as compared to how Africans rate him, to me, pundits outside don't rate him like that. You understand? And Yaya Toure was in the time of the Premier League, not the English Premier League. That's the Barclays Premier League. And now it's rather the Premier League. Then the Premier League is more modified now, as at the time when Yaya Toure, and maybe everybody in this criteria, maybe as at the time that they had the likes of Lampard and all that. And as compared to this time, we don't really have so many midfielders who are exactly. So I think that's why everyone is rating. But
because the competition during Yaya's time was high.
Exactly, as compared to now.
Because even at Manchester City, people have brought in some other names that we are trying to avoid. There's the mention of David Silva.
Exactly.
Over there. Yeah.
That guy was also very excellent from Valencia and all that. But to me, Kevin De Bruyne is slightly ahead of both of them.
Okay.
Slightly ahead of both
All right.
of them.
So Marvin thinks that Kevin De Bruyne is ahead of any other midfielder at Manchester City has ever had. There are others that even think that he's the greatest Manchester City player of all time. But then that is their opinion.
Oh, come on, Sergio Aguero, come on.
Yeah, no, but I mean, there are people.
Come on, that guy.
There are people who think that way. But then away from that, there are other messages that have also come in. This one says that, good morning, Lukman, and the guys in the studio. The best EPL midfielders of all time are Frank Lampard, Yaya Toure. Again, Yaya Toure. There is also David Silva, Johan Cabaye, even though he did not do it for a long time.
That Newcastle guy.
Wow. Johan Cabaye. And then there is also Paul Scholes.
Well, there's something interesting about that guy. Eh?
Well, let me finish because there is an interesting part to this message. It says that Paul Scholes, and then he said that Steven Gerrard and KDB are overrated. Wow. Well, that is his opinion. But then you were coming in, Marvin.
Yeah, I'm saying with Johan Cabaye, as compared to how we see players, I've seen a lot of L'Equipe French football, this ones, magazine. And a lot of people saying that guy is very, very good. Even players he played with when he was in Newcastle. But like the fans don't really. Just as Moussa Dembele of Tottenham Hotspur, so many of his players who played with him say that he's good. Yeah, but we didn't really see like that. That's how Johan. I saw a lot of interviews like that. People saying Johan Cabaye excellently well, but he didn't really prove to us for us to see back at Newcastle and Marseille.
So I had in fact I watched a lot of Johan Cabaye. That very good Newcastle United side that had almost that were beating almost any team. In fact, in that team, Johan Cabaye was really, really good. He left. He left
after that era. Then Christian Achu joined the club.
Achu was around. Achu was around, but then Achu was on and off. Achu had some. Achu was very good for Newcastle in the Championship, but then when it came to the Premier League, he struggled.
No. Achu was around the the time of Vernon Anita. The
Yeah.
time of Papi Sita and was from 2012 to 2014. Achu joined the club in I think 2016, 16 to
2017. He joined in 2017.
that was when the championship
system were fading out.
Exactly.
Yeah,
They won the championship and came back. After that, he couldn't
In
even
fact,
find the form
yeah,
again.
he was the
Yeah.
man who made the difference for them in the championship. But
And
then,
there was one guy who had cancer in that team, a Gutierrez or something like that.
Gutierrez.
I remember that team.
Yeah, Gutierrez was also part of that Kabaye squad.
yeah.
All right. Away from that, there are other messages that are coming in. This one says that it's Cindy from Legon. Hey, Cindy. Cindy is a big fan of our show. We have to find a way of bringing her in. She says that I think the best 5 midfielders from the EPL are in no order. In order. Paul Scholes, Frank Lampard, Yaya Toure, Steven Gerrard, and KDB. Love your show. We also love you, Cindy. This one says that, good morning, Lukman. My name is Philip Anabila. Love the debate in the studio. My top 5 midfielders are N'Golo Kante.
How can't you mention N'Golo Kante? Why is Fabregas missing out on this discussion?
So you guys would also give me yours. I don't for them. These are their.
You can't mention the name of Premier League midfielders without N'Golo Kante.
All right, this one
that
says
can
that,
never happen.
Okay, he says that my top 5 are N'Golo Kante, Yaya Toure, David Silva,
Jonathan agreed.
I'm coming. Makelele, and then Michael Carrick. Michael Carrick. Come on, if we want to do this thing, we'll go the whole day without finishing. But then I like the fact that people are getting very interested in this one. Lots of messages coming in with regards to the top 5 midfielders of all time. But then we are not only going to do that. We have to look at other games in the English Premier League. The big one, of course, is Manchester City and then Manchester United. I mean, I've heard from Teddy, I've heard from Jonathan. Marvin, that big game, Manchester City, Manchester United, where is it headed? Manchester City have top 4 to contend for. Man United playing for God knows what they are playing. Right? Yeah.
All right, so let me put it that way. United are playing for pride, but at this stage and time of the season, the only thing that he has to do is just to help them not to go to relegation and end the season very well. From next season, they are going to go very, very hard on him. City United is a very, very good encounter, and for De Bruyne and the likes and Pep, it's also going to be a very excellent game for them. And from head to head and everything, the stakes are highly behind City on paper. And we both know that City are going to win this game. But let's see, United in this season at home are very good with clubs above the top, like let's say clubs from 3rd to 6th. And they've been very excellent. They played a draw with us, Liverpool. Then you realize all the games that they play against top side, you realize that they meet you boot for boot. You understand? And United are also facing crisis with their top strikers. They don't really have prolific forwards and anybody to cause City any harm. But then again, we don't. Anything can happen. You know, Manchester United. The games you expect that they don't win, that's what they win. The games you expect they don't win. We all know United and how they can be. And irrespective of how United are performing, there's this kind of this one behind the team anytime they are playing in a derby. You understand? So this is also going to be an excellent derby, and I think it's going to be an excellent one for the, Pep and as well as Kevin De Bruyne. But on paper, let's say 2-1. It's at Etihad, right?
No.
Old Trafford.
Old Trafford.
All right. So I go for a 2-1.
2-1 win for
2-1 win for City, exactly.
All right. I mean, so Marvin thinks City will be winning that one.
In worst case scenario, it could end 2-2.
Okay.
But 2-1 win for City for me.
All right. So that one should be going in the way of Manchester City. But then that game between Everton and then Arsenal, the second half has started. Arsenal are still leading by a goal to 0. Leandro Trossard with that goal for them. Now, the league leaders, Liverpool, they will be facing...
I think it's 9 points now, right?
Yeah, but then Liverpool will be in action on Sunday against Fulham. I mean, big one for Liverpool. They need that result to wrap up. In fact, from the mathematics or the calculations, Liverpool needs to get 12 out of the last 24 points to be crowned champions of the English Premier League. How difficult would this be for them, or it's easy?
It's an easy test for them because Liverpool will pass this test. Like I said, they missed out in the Champions League. They lost the Carabao Cup to Newcastle. All they got now to do is to keep momentum in the Premier League. So having a team like Fulham coming your way, I think Liverpool has nothing to do than to take the 3 points.
Well, I mean, to the Liverpool fan, obviously it is a win for you guys. Fulham themselves haven't fared bad this season. They've been really stubborn against some of these clubs, but then they come up against a Liverpool side that wants to wrap up the league. I mean, following the disappointment from the UEFA Champions League and then that disappointment from the Carabao Cup.
Yeah.
I mean, for Marvin, you look at where Fulham are on the table. They are actually 8 on the table. They also have a chance to qualify for Europe because the point difference between them and then the 5th place Newcastle United is only... Okay, so breaking news, it is 1-1. Yes, so Everton have equalized in the 50th minute. We'll definitely be giving you the goal scorer very soon. But then, like I was saying, Marvin, you look at Fulham, they are 8 on the table. The difference between them and top 5 position is just 6 points. Do you think they are a side that can cause trouble for Liverpool in tomorrow's game?
Well, with the issue with Liverpool right now, there's no room for any error. When you take a look at the games that we have Fulham, we have Leicester, we have Arsenal. Fulham and Leicester, to me, are sides that are contenders. Fulham, on the other hand, the last time they went to Europe was 2010.
Yeah.
And in that final against Atletico Madrid, Diego Forlan. We all remember that.
That season, they actually ended the campaign in 8th position. And John Pinso recently said that he was very close to winning the league at that time.
Exactly, with Damien Duff and all that.
Yeah.
So you realize that there's a Fulham side that you can never underrate them. Marco Silva's side are very, very strong. And they've, over the years, I think our last 3 games, we've won 2 and they've won 1. When Bobby the Cordoba Reed was there, they beat us, I think, 2 seasons ago at home and away as well. So this is a game that Liverpool should never, irrespective of the fact that Arsenal have equalized, this is a game that there's no room for error at all. There's no room for any error. We should win all other games because we are meeting Arsenal. After Leicester is a done deal. Fulham is kind of a dicey game. Leicester is also Arsenal is also a game that we shouldn't lose any points against Fulham because this Fulham side are very, very, very with Emil Smith Rowe and all that, trying to prove that he's a good player because he came on the ranks of Arsenal. People didn't really rate him like that. He moved to Fulham. He wants to prove that he's a good player. Fulham also have so many good players on their ranks. So many good players on their ranks. And you realize that this is a side that they've not really been poor. They've not really been so good as well, being 8th. The fact that they also want to qualify back into Europe, into the Conference League, is also the fact that, and you know, in the Premier League, you cannot underrate anybody. When a little team is meeting a big team, it's seen as something big. But Liverpool over here, because it always happens to Liverpool in the second half of our season. The last season, we also could win a quadruple. I hope you remember. We lost everything, came out of the Europa League, lost the FA Cup, lost everything, and just ended up in the league. And in the league, I think three games to this one, and we lost to Aston Villa, and that was it. And City won. So it always happens the second half of the season, and there's no room for any error now. You understand? We cannot afford to drop any points. 9 points now. I think now it's even it's 11, right?
Yeah.
It's not 11 because since they've equalized, there's no room for any. Even 11 points is not something too much. You understand? When you're leading someone by 30 points, that's when you understand that, oh, you're in a comfortable lead. You understand? You could just lose the Arsenal game, lose the Leicester game, then you're back to like 4 points difference. You understand? And the momentum behind the team, the way we play now, in our Merseyside derby like this, it was just so scary. It got to a point that I was wondering that, hey, what is happening to this team? I don't know. Always the second half of the season, it always happens that the fatigue and everything behind them, all the momentum that they start the season with, just drops just like that, and you don't understand why. So for me, this is not a game that they should underrate Fulham, and Fulham are a very good and fine side. And the game being played at Craven Cottage is also it's an away game, right? It's also a very tight venue to go and play. Tight away venue to go and play. London, West London. So I just hope that we are going to take this. I go for a Liverpool 3-1 prediction.
Well, I mean, talking about that Fulham team, there are a lot of good players in there. Alexander Iwobi joined them from Arsenal. There is Willian from Chelsea, also a former player of Arsenal. And so that team is made up of some very, very good players. But then Iliman Ndiaye actually equalized for Everton. He scored from the penalty spot. And so it is 1-1 between Everton and Arsenal. 54 minutes played already. Well, away from the English Premier League, we move to the Spanish La Liga. The point difference between Real Madrid and then Barcelona is just 3. Barcelona are top of the table, followed by Real Madrid, who are in second place. But then the interesting thing is that there will be a Clásico in the Spanish La Liga to determine how this goes. That game will be crucial. But then today, Real Madrid will be playing against struggling Valencia, and then Barcelona will be playing tomorrow in La Liga. They will be facing Barcelona will actually be playing Real Betis. Anthony and then his Real Betis side. Anthony has been on the form of his life this season. It's actually today. And so these are the two big games in the Spanish La Liga this Saturday. And so big games coming up. But then, like we are saying, so there is that El Clasico in the La Liga. There is another El Clasico in the Copa del Rey. Marvin, we saw what happened in midweek. Barcelona had to scrap through to beat Atletico to make it to the final. Real Madrid, they survived a scare to beat Real Sociedad to also make it to the final. The first two Clásicos of the season have not gone the way of Real Madrid. But then that third one will be coming soon, and that will be in the Copa del Rey. It is on April 26th. Where do you think this game will be going? It is a cup match, so very important for Real Madrid.
Copa del Rey final, excellent one. With this Copa del Rey final, Barca have got the lead with them on 2 occasions. I think 9-2, you know. And the first one was 4-0 and 5-2 back in Saudi. And this is not the time for Barca to lose grip on this. You understand? And with Real Madrid, you cannot beat them 3 times continuously. I don't think Barca have the momentum and everything is behind them to win this. And you realize that Madrid in cup games, for all the Copa del Rey finals they've gone to, I stand to be corrected, they've won every single final that they've gone to, right? And this is also an El Clasico match, and both teams will not want to also, Barca will also want to also prove something. This is also going to be a very excellent game to me. But then you realize that for Copa del Rey, to me, on any day, Barca and Madrid, if it's a Copa del Rey game, a UEFA Champions League game, is always a game to always look out for. But I see Real Madrid winning this, I think, by 2-1. Because that kind of reluctance and complacency has settled in now. And Barcelona fans all think that, it's all rosy with Real Madrid now. You understand? And Real Madrid this season have been so. Their form has been wavering. They started the season not so well. Mbappe was not picking up. He's picked up his form. Everything is going well. Things are not really going the way as expected. They were leading at a point. Barcelona closed up. You understand? So you realize that this is a very dicey Real Madrid side, and you don't know their way of direction. They started well. They didn't start well. Now they are doing excellently well. But to me, I see Madrid winning this cup game by 2-1.
Well, I mean, it is early though. I mean, some 3 weeks to that game. But then you look at that game. Marvin has mentioned players like Mbappe being on and off. You also have Vinicius Junior not really being himself after not being able to pick that Ballon d'Or. You look at Barcelona on the other hand, the likes of Rafinha, Lamine Yamal, they have been in top form. Which players do you think or you consider could make that difference? Because it is a cup match. This is quite different from the Super Cup and then league games. This is a huge game for Real Madrid and then Barcelona. One of the major trophies of the campaign.
Oh yeah, first of all, Barcelona are doing quite well this season. But the turning point around Barcelona is Hansi Flick. Let's not take that away.
Okay.
Hansi Flick is the brain behind Barcelona's consistency this season. Well, like Marvin said it, they've won the El Clasico on 2 occasions this season already, and I don't think Real Madrid will lose 3 straight Clásicos to Barcelona. I don't see that happening. So. And Real Madrid have been battling with injuries this season. Yeah, I think they have not been consistent when it comes to the squad depth. Players in, players out, injuries settling in and that. But they are still grinding the results, even in the league. I think they are just 3 points behind Barcelona. So I think going into this cup final, it's a big match. All of us should look out for. I think the young chaps like inform Yamin Lamal and so this one. Rafinha and the rest. And Real Madrid also have the quality. So I think this game, it's 50-50, but I see Real Madrid slightly winning because I don't think Barcelona can beat Real Madrid 3 consecutive times in a season.
Well, I mean,
I don't think this will happen.
Okay, so
more or less, this is a cup match. And whenever Madrid is playing a final, I think.
Well, we saw. Yeah,
okay, Super Cup was the final.
Super Cup is not as major as
the Copa del Rey. We all know Real Madrid. So this game, even though it's a 50-50, I still say Real Madrid slightly, ahead because I think they cannot afford to lose.
They say that
3 El Clásicos.
the only man that can stop Carlo Ancelotti has been Hansi Flick, and so
Hansi Flick is a world class coach. I don't know why he's still underrated. I think he's not being talked about.
So the thing is that for a manager who worked most of his career as an assistant manager for Joachim Low, his major stint was with Bayern Munich, and that was also very short. Even though he won the league and
he's working under Jürgen Klinsmann.
He's also worked under. So you can understand why he's underrated. He spent most of his time being the number 2 and not the number 1, and so it makes sense. But then to just run you through the La Liga table, I'm quite excited about how the table looks because of one player, Inaki Williams. Yeah, so Inaki Williams' Atletico Bilbao, they are in 4th position. They look like a team that will get that 4th UEFA Champions League spot. But then this is how the table looks like. Barcelona are top with 66 points. Real Madrid follow with 63 points. Atletico Madrid, they now are technically out of the title race. They are 3rd with 57 points, and then Atletico Madrid are in 4th place with 53 points. That is Villarreal in 5th position, Real Betis in 6th position, and the main man has been Anthony. Now, Anthony.
I forget this fools in La Liga. I can't wait to play against Barcelona.
Anthony came with magic. Now, there is Celta Vigo in 7th position, Rayo Vallecano in 8th position, Real Mallorca in 9th position. There is Real Sociedad in 10th position. Getafe are 11th, Sevilla are 12th, Girona are 13th, Osasuna are 14th, Espanyol in 15th position, Valencia are just out of the relegation zone. They are in 16th position with just 31 points. There is also Deportivo Alaves. They are in 17th position. Leganés, Las Palmas, and Real Valladolid occupy the relegation places. Well, so we have some few minutes to wrap up on the show, but then interestingly, there is a little bit of international football news for you. Well, in women's football, it is their international break, and the Black Queens will be in action against Senegal later this afternoon. Their coach, Kim Lasboy-Kegrin, I believe I've butchered the name. He has been speaking ahead of that game against the Taranga Lionesses, and this is what he had to say.
Together for 2.5 days now, 2 trainings, waiting for the 3rd one, and then the game against Senegal tomorrow. I think it's going to be a tough one. They play physical. It's going to be, I think, a good game for us. We need to move the ball fast, But if we do that, I'm sure that we have the potential to win the game. We have some information. Our analyst, Ronny Berdahl, have done a good job when it comes to watch them, and he will give us all information that we need. It's a team that normally play a 4-2-3-1 formation. They, like I said, they play physical. They have a couple of really good players, so we need to be ready, but also, like I said, I think the potential in our team is good enough to win the game. Yeah, we had talked about our attack, our build-up, how we can use our central player a little bit.
Well, so that was Kim Lasboy-Kugren of the women's national team. But then there was one topic that was really trending in midweek, and it had to do with the former sports minister, Nilante van der Poel. Despite the Black Stars winning that game against Chad and then Madagascar, he doesn't think there has been so much improvement in that team.
And I think the 2 matches we have played so far doesn't give me any indication to the fact that there has been an improvement in the team, even though we've won those matches by wide score lines, even though we won those matches comfortably. I'm looking at the quality of play. Sometimes some coaches will say the result is what matters, especially in qualifying series like this. You will say the result is what matters. But at the end of it all, you should also know that it's not just about qualifying, but it's about developing, improving your performance, your play, so that when you have qualified, people will have confidence in the team.
Also, that was the former sports minister, Nilante van der Poel. But then before we wrap up the show, I'll start from Teddy to Marvin to Jonathan. Your top 5 EPL midfielders of all time. Teddy.
I think the EPL is one of the best leagues in the world. The EPL has seen so many great midfielders in different eras. So with this debate, for my top 5, I'll go with Frank Lampard. Yeah, I'll go with Frank Lampard. You know, the record speaks for him. He's
let's be quick on it. Lampard.
Frank Lampard. I'll go with Steven Gerrard at number 2. Number 3 will be Paul Scholes, and I'll put N'Golo Kante at number 4, and I'll round up with Kevin De Bruyne.
Okay. Marvin, your top 5.
My top 5
of all time.
So Paul Scholes number 5, number 4 Yaya Toure, 3 Steven Gerrard, 2 Claude Makelele, and number 1 Kevin De Bruyne.
Okay. All right. Kevin De Bruyne had to be there. Jonathan?
Boss. So my top 5, I'll mention Patrick Vieira, Kevin De Bruyne, and then Paul Scholes, Gerrard, Yaya Toure.
Wow.
Frank Lampard.
Who is Lampard?
All right, so
Frank Lampard.
These are the top 5 midfielders from each of my panelists. But then, do you want to hear mine?
Yeah.
You really want to hear mine?
Yes, let's go.
All right, my top 5 midfielders of all time. First, Michael Essien of Ghana. He is in my list. Sule Muntari is in my list. Kevin Prince Boateng is in my list. There is also, let me see. In fact, I have only 3, but then that is just by the way. But then, Ghana to the he played for Portsmouth and Sunderland in the Premier League. Yeah, and he won the FA. Yeah, he won the FA Cup. And so don't disrespect Sule Muntari. He is one of the best midfielders. Yeah. You people are so biased, Frank Lampard. But then yes, Kevin De Bruyne has been one of the greatest midfielders in the Premier League. But then unfortunately, this is where time will allow us on today's show. That game between Everton and Arsenal is still 1-1. But then this is how we end Sports Rally. It's been another exciting edition of the weekend Sports Rally. My name is Lukman Evergreen Momin, and thanks to Teddy, Marvin, and Jonathan Binsua for being on the show. Catch us again next week. But then throughout the week, you can listen to me early in the morning on Business Breakfast on Z at 7:10 for the Sports Flash. And then later, you can also listen to Jonathan on the other shows for your sports news. My name is Lukman. Goodbye. Have a wonderful Saturday afternoon. Up next is Roots and Routes with Prisla Mawena, Wellington, and Ni Ayi Solomon.